In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to create a simple contact form using the Elementor page builder in WordPress. Hi, I'm Kyle Johnson from escapingthenorm.com, and it's super easy to build a contact form. In fact, it's super easy to build a complex form with Elementor. Now, the only caveat to this is you'll need Elementor Pro, so if you don't already have it, you can click the link in the description, and that will bring you straight to the page where you can get Elementor Pro. It's a super cheap yearly fee, and it's totally worth it. It is one of the most powerful WordPress page builders out there. So with that being said, let's go ahead and build this simple form. Okay, I'm on my WordPress dashboard, and I'm going to go to Pages to select the page that I'm going to put this form on, and I'm going to select Services, and I'm going to right click on this Edit with Elementor, open the link in the new tab. Okay, and here is the services page, and say you wanted your customers to be able to contact you. So all you will do is wherever you want to put this form, say you want to put it down here at the bottom, just hit the plus. I'm going to do a 3 section like normal, and I'm going to come over here and click all apps, and I'm going to search for form, and this is the one you want, so I'm going to click and drag it to the center, and then I'm going to size it appropriately by dragging these. And that looks good. So to get to the settings for the form, if this isn't shown up, you just click this little pencil icon, it'll bring this up. And here's the different fields for the form. As you can see, we have a name, email, and a message. And so like if you wanted to add like a different field, you can click this add item, and then you can select what kind of input it is. But I'm not going to go into depth on this in this tutorial. I'm going to have a more in-depth tutorial in the very near future where we're going to build complex multi-step forms. But for this one, I'm going to just leave this default because this is what the typical contact form has. And so this extra one we put here, to delete that field, you just hit the X, and once I hit the X, it'll delete this extra field right here. So I'm going to just X that out, and I'm going to just basically leave this like it is. And so to edit each of these fields, you just click on the one you want to edit, and here's all the settings for it. So you can set the label, which is right here. So instead of name, like maybe you want first name, so you can put first name like that, and you can name it whatever you want. And the placeholder is going to be this gray text in here, so you can change it as well. And I'm going to just put it back to default. And then if you want to make it to where someone has to fill this out in order for the form to submit, you just click this little required icon, and it'll make sure that you have to fill that field out before the form will submit. And you can also set the width, so you could like set it to 20, you could set it to 50, but I'm going to just leave it at 100. And there's a bunch of other settings, but those are like the basic settings. And you can also adjust the size of these inputs by going right here, and you can make them bigger like this, or you can make them smaller, so however you want it to look. And then if you want to make it to where they can actually tell that it's a required field and put that little red asterisk beside the field that's required, you can turn that on. As you can see, this one's required and this one's required, and normally I would want the message to be required as well, so we can come back up here to message and then click required. And as you can see, it shows up there. So that's a basic contact form. And so the next thing I'm going to cover is how you actually set this form to send the information to your email, or any designated email that you prefer. So there's a field down here called actions after submit, and if you click on this, it will show you the actions. And basically the default is to collect the submission and also send an email with all the information that was filled into the form to that email. So what the submission is, this collect submission, if we come back here and go to Elementor, and then we go to submissions, basically it will show, as you can see there's some already in here, but it'll show you, like when someone fills that form out, it'll show you all the information about that. So if I click on there, you can see all this different information that was filled out with the form. And since this email thing is also in here, it will also send an email to whatever email you set it to send to. And you can also add other actions by clicking this plus icon, and there's a bunch of different things. As you can see, there's like email autoresponder integrations in here, and a slew of other things, but I'm not going to cover them in this tutorial. We'll cover them here pretty soon when we do the advanced tutorial. And so basically, if you just wanted it to send the email, you can hit this little X right here, and it'll get rid of whatever one you click the X on. But I'm going to just leave leave this to default because that's a good option to have it both in your WordPress back office, the information from the form, as well as send it to your email so you can receive those email notifications. So to configure each one of these, as you can see, this says collect submission, and this also says collect submission. This is basically the settings for this right here. And so if we click on this, we can see the settings. Now there's not any settings for this you can adjust in here, but it just tells you where you can access the submissions. However, if you go to the email, which is the other action after submit, you can see there is options where you can fill this out. So you can put the to email, so whatever email you want to send it to, you put it in here, and basically when someone fills this form out, it's going to take all that information in that form and send it to this email that's right here. And so you can put whatever email you want in there, and then you can set the subject, like what you want the email to say. Like you could say new contact form submission or something like that along those lines. And then message, it's got a variable in here which says all fields. I recommend just leaving that alone because basically it's just going to take all the information that the user filled out and it's going to include that in the email that it sends to you. And you can also set the from email. Now if you want this to not show up in spam or be getting blocked by services like Gmail, etc., you'll definitely want to watch the video I recently made on how to set up SMTP with your hosting provider correctly so that your emails actually get delivered. So if you want to watch that video, click here now. But anyways, you want to put an authenticated email in here, otherwise it might end up in spam. And then the from name, like in my case, I'd probably just put my name instead of, WordPress, which is the default. And then reply to, just set it to the same email that it was sent from. And that's pretty much all the settings. There's some more advanced data like metadata, and basically it'll send this extra information along with it. And then you can set the type of email, HTML, just leave it at that, and that works perfect. Now you can also come in here and style these forms to a great degree, so you just scroll back up and hit style, and basically there's all kinds of stuff you can do with this. I recommend just playing around with this stuff and you'll figure out what it does. I'll go over this in the more advanced form tutorial when I do that one in the future, but for this one I'm going to just leave it as is. But just know that you can change the text color, like the background color for the button, the text size for all of it, the font size, all kinds of stuff, and you just click on the respective fields and modify that information. So now that I have the form actually set up, let's go ahead and test it and make sure that it actually works and that I actually get the email. So I'm going to go ahead and click update to save the changes and actually make the changes live. And so now I'm going to actually pull up the real page and we're going to fill it out. Okay, so here's the page. And I'm going to scroll all the way down because this is where we put it. And as you can see, I kind of messed the style up a little bit, but that's beside the point. I'm going to go ahead and fill this out. And so I'm going to put my name and my email, and then I'll just put a quick message. I'll just put this is a message, like so. And then I'm going to click send. And if it's successful, it'll say the form was sent successfully. And so now I'm going to go over to my email and make sure that I received all this data that I just put in there. Okay, so now I'm in the email, and as you can see, the email showed up perfectly in the main inbox. And that's because I have the SMTP set up correctly, and it's not just the WordPress default. I'm going to click on this email, and as you can see, all the information that I put into the form was sent to me in this email, and also that more advanced metadata down here is also sent. So now I'm going to go to the back office into the form submissions part in Elementor and make sure that it showed up there as well, because that was the other action after the submit. So I'm going to come back over here, and if you're not on Elementor, just click Elementor and then click submissions, and these are all your form submissions. The latest one's going to be at the very top, and so just click on the email, and here's all the fields that I filled out, and they are correct. That's the ones that I filled out. And then here's all the metadata. So as you can see, it's really easy to set up a simple contact form with the Elementor form builder. And as you could also see, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do with it. It's much more powerful than most of the other form builders out there, and it comes at a very good price. So if you want Elementor Pro, go ahead and click the link in the description. That'll bring you to the actual page where you can buy it. It's very cheap. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end this one. If you got value from this video and you found it helpful, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already and you want to see more videos like this where I walk you through step by step, be sure to smash that subscribe button and hit the bell notification so you'll get all the future updates with the new videos that I come out with. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.